Hello. So for Booksmas Day 13, we are going to review David Copperfield. So David Copperfield is one of the classics written by Charles Dickens, and Charles Dickens has written this very amazing semi-autobiographical novel which draws parallels from his own life. So even the name of the book, David Copperfield, has his initials transposed, like it's CD and it is DC, if you haven't noticed yet. So David Copperfield follows the journey of a 11 or 12-year-old boy through adulthood, and you see the life he's leading, and you learn the lessons as he's going through adulthood. So the book has a lot of secondary characters, and it also has a lot of chapters. So let me talk about like the book as a whole. Three main actions that you'll see in the book. The first is David's childhood, where you see that David's dad dies when he's like just born, and David's mother is this very nice lady, and she is like relaxed and carefree, and they have this child governess, Clara Peggotty, who takes care of David and loves him like a mother. And you see that as David grows up, he goes to meet Peggotty's family and Peggotty's brother and his two adopted children, and like Mr. Peggotty's brother's widowed wife and their children, Ham and little Emily. So you see that he really enjoys his time at Yarmouth with the Peggottys, and then when he comes back, he finds out that his mother has married this man who's dark. Another weird thing is, maybe are they trying to bring in racist undertones? Dark, because dark people are normally always shown as villainous characters in the books, so maybe we'll see about that. I don't know. David's mom has married Mr. Murderstone, and Mr. Murderstone is this very strict man. He beats David, he abuses him. He also has a sister who is also strict, and they beat him. So one night when they're beating him, David bites his hand. So David is sent to this boarding school where again there's this headmaster, Mr. Creakle, who's also very strict, and he doesn't take a liking to David. But soon after some things happen, and David befriends two friends, that's Mr. Traddles and one other guy. He gets to like the boarding school. That's what I'm trying to say. And his stay gets better at that boarding school. But then when he returns for holidays, he finds out that his mother has just given birth to another son and has died in childbirth. So at the age of 10, he's sent to work in a factory, in a wine bottling factory, and is forced to live with Mr. and Mrs. Micawber, who are people. Mr. Micawber has this very bad habit of, what was he doing? I think he was engaged in some kind of smuggling, and he owned a lot of money as debt to give back to the people, and he wasn't able to do that. So he's sent to jail, but he doesn't go to jail. He runs away, I think. Yeah, he runs away, and David is forced to live under those circumstances, and then he decides that he will go seek his father's sister, Miss Betsy. So he goes to Miss Betsy's house, and Miss Betsy decides to keep him, and then he's sent to a school to finish his schooling again. So that's the first part of the novel. The second part starts here. He meets a lot of people at his new school, and is now living with Mr. Wickfield and his daughter Agnes. And Agnes has this crush on David, but David doesn't have any crush right now. And he finishes his schooling, and then he goes back to meet Peggotty, who's now married to Mr. Barkis, because when his mother died when he was young, she was sent away, Peggy, and now she's married to this wagon person. So he goes to meet them. Sorry, she's married to this wagon, a person who rides a wagon. I don't know what they're called, wagon rider something. So she's married to Mr. Barkis. So he comes back to visit Peggy again in Yarmouth, and he finds that everyone has grown up. Little Emily and Ham are supposed to be engaged, and in the process of traveling from where he was to Yarmouth, he meets Steerforth. So Steerforth is this really handsome man, and little Emily gets infatuated with Steerforth, and she's not that interested in little Ham. Sorry, Ham, not little Ham, just Ham. So she's not that interested in Ham. Um, and then she decides to run away with him, with Steerforth. Little Emily decides to run away with Steerforth, and while he's there, Miss Betsy shows up at Yarmouth and tells David that she has gone bankrupt because of this another person who's also a villainous character in the book named Uriah Heep, and he David meets him a little earlier in the book, and he finds out that he's this villainous moneylender, and who will so Uriah Heep is this villainous moneylender, and he goes into partnership with this another character named Mr. Wickfield. And Wickfield okay, sorry, Wickfield is Agnes's father, and he goes into like an agreement with Mr. Wickfield, and he kind of drains out the money of Mr. Wickfield, and where Miss Betsy is also like a partner. So they're bankrupt. So David starts to, you know, he's also deciding what to do now. Miss Betsy and everyone else tells him to pursue the job of a proctor, so he takes up the proctor position. He also works as a secretary to another Mr. Strong. They are also a couple with which David was acquainted, and from there he gets this extra money. And he when he's working at you know the firm called Jorkins, Spenlow and Jorkins, he falls in love with Dora. Dora is this childlike daughter of Spenlow, and David works hard to make money to be like happy with her, and then he settles with her. He has like a few happy years with her, and then she also dies at childbirth. So, and here the plot also rises when little Emily is abandoned by Steerforth in Naples, and Mr. Peggotty, when she runs away, Mr. Peggotty was like, I'm going to find her. So he goes after her, and when little Emily returns, like when they are reunited, here there is a shipwreck. So when David realizes that since Mr. Peggotty's family was living in an upside down ship, and there's like a few shipwrecks on the coast. On one of the ships, there's which little Ham like swims to save the last ship. And there's like two people on the ship. The one is Steerforth, and little Ham also drowns, and Steerforth also drowns. So Mr. Peggotty then decides that he's gonna move to Australia for a fresh start. By then Mr. Micawber and Mrs. Micawber like they are all reacquainted again, and they decide to go alongside with them. And then in the way, little Emily also falls sick and she dies, and then David spends a few years. By then David has spent a few years at continental Europe, and then he comes back, and he recognizes his love for Agnes, and then they get married, and the book is resolved. I know it was like a lot of plot because this book is kind of long winded, and it has a lot of chapters, and it has a lot of secondary characters. It has a lot of drama and action, and subplots and sub stories going on, and you know that it could sound a lot coming from me right now, but it's a very enjoyable read. You will really like the book. I enjoyed reading the book, even though in the middle of like 10 to 15 chapters get a bit depressing because a child is working at a factory and the environment is very deteriorating, but the book in itself is really nicely written. You will learn a lot of new vocab if you're interested in learning vocab through books, and you will also see the so many perspectives and the underside of so many characters and their lives in I think in the middle of it was written in 1849 in England, and Charles Dickens published the stories as serialization in a magazine, so it was getting published every other week. That's why this book is so long, and it was written over a period of 2 years. And also Charles Dickens named his daughter after one of the characters in the book. Can you tell me who it is? uh and yeah, that was all for Booksmas day 13. I've talked already a lot about this book. Let me know what you thought of it, and if you like the video, please like, subscribe, and just tell me your feedback about what you liked about this book. See you.